I never thought I'd be the guy to find myself in this kind of situation. My name is Mark, and I'm a 34-year-old husband who thought he had a solid marriage with his wife, Jessica. We'd been together for nearly a decade, and I believed we were a team, going through life together. We've shared so many ups and downs, and we were even preparing for a vow renewal ceremony at our church to reaffirm our commitment to each other. But what I discovered in the lead-up to that event shattered everything I thought I knew about our life together. Jessica has always been strong-willed and somewhat assertive, which I found attractive at first. But lately, things began to shift. She'd been acting distant, spending less time with me, more time on her phone, and even changing her appearance. At first, I chalked it up to her wanting to look good for the vow renewal. Maybe she was just excited about the ceremony and wanted everything to be perfect. But deep down, I felt something was off. I remember the day it all spiraled out of control. I had taken a half-day off from work to surprise her with lunch, something we used to do frequently. I arrived at her office, expecting to see her smiling face, but instead I found her desk empty. Her coworkers told me she stepped out for a quick errand, but as I waited, I started feeling uneasy. I tried to shake off the feeling as I sat there, scrolling through my phone. Just as I was about to leave, I got a notification that made my heart race, an alert from our shared family calendar. Jessica had entered a new appointment labeled counseling for that afternoon. I frowned. We had not discussed any counseling sessions. I tried to call her, but she didn't pick up. A knot in my stomach tightened as the minutes ticked by. I decided to drive to the church where we were supposed to meet with Father David, our priest, for the counseling. As I parked, I pushed the thoughts of doubt aside. Maybe she just needed to talk things out with him alone. The church was quiet, and I walked through the heavy wooden doors, the smell of aged wood and incense filling my senses. I made my way down the dimly lit hallway towards the confession booth. As I approached, I heard muffled voices coming from within. My heart started pounding and I paused, unsure of what my next move should be. Then it happened. I caught a glimpse of something through the small window of the booth. My stomach dropped as I saw Jessica's head leaning against the wall, her body half turned toward Father David. They weren't just talking, they were embracing each other. My mind raced, and I felt paralyzed for a moment. The realization crashed over me like a tidal wave. She was cheating on me with him, the man who was supposed to guide us, to help us grow in our faith together. I wanted to scream, to bang on the door, to confront them right then and there, but I felt frozen. I chose to retreat, my heart racing, already formulating a plan in my mind. I had to confront her. I had to know what she had to say for herself. As I drove home, my hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white from anger and betrayal. I replayed the moment over and over in my head. The image of them together burned into my memory. I didn't even know if I wanted to cry or scream. I was simply numb, a whirlwind of emotions crashing within me. I finally arrived home and paced the living room, waiting for her to return. I felt like a volcano ready to erupt, a mix of confusion and fury boiling beneath the surface. When she walked through the door, she looked radiant, blissfully unaware of the storm that was about to hit her. "Hey, babe, sorry I'm late," she said cheerfully, her smile fading as she noticed my tense demeanor. "Jessica, we need to talk," I said, my voice steady but laced with barely contained rage. Her smile vanished and she glanced at me, confusion written all over her face. "What's wrong?" she asked, shifting her weight from one foot to the other. I took a deep breath, staring deep into her eyes, trying to channel my pain into strength. "I know what you've been doing." The shocked expression on her face was both satisfying and painful. She opened her mouth to speak, but I cut her off. "I saw you. I saw you with Father David." Her expression morphed from surprise to defensiveness, and I could practically see the gears turning in her mind as she scrambled to come up with some excuse. "Mark, it's not what you think," she exclaimed, trying to step closer, but I held my ground, feeling like I was standing at the edge of a precipice, ready to jump. "No, then what is it?" I shot back, anger spilling over. "What could possibly justify you hugging him like that? You have to be kidding me." As she began to stammer out her excuses, I realized the emotional impact would be profound. I wasn't just angry, I was raw and vulnerable, deeply hurt by the woman I thought I knew. The realization struck me that this was no longer about our marriage. It was about survival, my emotional survival. I braced myself for what was to come next as she started her desperate explanations. Jessica's eyes widened and I could see the panic beginning to set in. "Mark, please let me explain," she pleaded, her voice shaky. "You don't understand the context. We were just talking about you and our vows. He's been so supportive and supportive." I interrupted, incredulity spilling from my lips. "Is that what you call it? Embracing him in a confession booth after hours? That's not just supportive, that's crossing every line imaginable." She opened her mouth to reply, but the words failed her. I could see her mind racing as she struggled to piece together a reasonable explanation that could possibly salvage this moment. I was feeling overwhelmed, everything with the vow renewal, the pressure of being perfect. "He just helped me through a rough patch." "Helped you?" I echoed, fighting back the urge to explode. "Is that what you call it when you're wrapped up in his arms? This isn't just a rough patch, Jess. You're having an affair." Tears began to form in her eyes, and I felt a sick mix of anger and sorrow. I wanted to feel vindicated, to see her regret, but instead I was just consumed by confusion. "I can't believe this. You've been lying to me, hiding this whole thing while we plan to renew our vows. I can't trust you anymore." She stepped closer, reaching out as if she thought a physical connection could mend what was shattered. "No, listen. I was confused. It was never supposed to go this far. I swear he was just listening. I promise I wasn't going to sleep with him. Please don't think the worst of me." The pit in my stomach deepened. Her words felt hollow, and I was torn between disbelief and a sense of betrayal that sliced through me. "But you did sleep with him, didn't you?" I pressed, my voice barely above a whisper. "You wouldn't have been that close if nothing had happened." The silence that hung in the air was deafening, and I could see her hesitate, the truth hanging in the balance. "No, I swear we did." The panic in her voice rang false, and her gaze darted away from mine, unable to hold my stare. Even without her admitting it outright, I could feel the weight of her deceit settling like a heavy fog. "I can't believe I ever thought we were happy. We were just going through the motions, Jess. You've been lying to me for who knows how long." Her hands flew to her face, covering her mouth as if she could physically block out what I was saying. "Mark, I never wanted you to find out like this. I was going to tell you, I just needed a little more time." "More time?" I echoed bitterly. "How much more time would it take for you to come clean about your affair? We were about to recommit to each other, and you couldn't even be honest about your feelings." The realization hit me hard. She'd been planning to betray me while I was preparing to affirm my love. Each moment of trust I had placed in her was now tainted. I could feel my heart racing, a thousand thoughts colliding in my mind. I had to get out of this conversation before I said or did something I'd regret. "Mark, please," she begged, her voice cracking. "I'll do anything to make this right. I'll stop seeing him. I'll go to counseling with you, whatever it takes." I shook my head, the anger and hurt still simmering within me. "You think counseling will fix this? You think we can just gloss over the fact that you betrayed me, betrayed our marriage, our vows?" The reality of the situation settled heavily in my chest. I felt like I was consuming a bitter poison, each word driving home the realization that I had been living a lie. "I need time to think," I said finally, my voice steadier than I felt. "I can't even look at you right now." She burst into tears, and for a moment I thought I might feel something for her pain, but the bitterness eclipsed any empathy I had. "I can't stay here," I said, stepping back. "I need to clear my head." I walked out of the house, my heart pounding as I left Jessica sobbing on the floor. I didn't have a destination in mind, just a need to escape her presence, the smell of her perfume lingering like a shroud of deceit. I drove aimlessly, the city lights blurring together as I fought against the sheer weight of my emotions. My mind raced as I considered the future. How would I move forward from this? I wasn't sure. I had invested so much in this relationship, and the thought of throwing it all away felt like a betrayal to myself. Yet, how could I ever trust her again? A part of me wanted to confront Father David, to demand answers from him. What kind of man would cheat with a married woman? But deep down, I knew that confronting him wouldn't take away the pain I felt. Eventually, I found myself parked at a secluded spot by the water. I sat there for what felt like hours, staring at the moonlight dancing on the surface. It was a stark contrast to the chaos in my heart. I thought about the vows we had made years ago, how promising to love and cherish each other through good and bad had meant something. Now, it felt like a cruel joke. As I sat in the silence, my thoughts churned, and I realized I had to make a choice about how to move forward. Would I fight for my marriage, or would I walk away from the woman who had broken my trust? It was a decision that weighed heavily on me, a decision that would ultimately shape the course of my life. I took a deep breath, feeling the cool night air fill my lungs. I knew I needed to figure out my next steps, but for now, I just needed to process the reality of my shattered world. The night dragged on as I sat by the water, grappling with a whirlwind of emotions. I felt lost and betrayed, unsure of what my next move should be. Jessica's sobs echoed in my mind, but there was a part of me that couldn't summon any sympathy for her right now. I was hurt, and it overshadowed everything else. When I finally returned home, the house felt foreign, as if someone had replaced all the memories with that one moment I had witnessed. The walls felt like they were closing in on me, and I couldn't bear the thought of facing Jessica again. I needed space, time to think and to distance myself from the raw pain of betrayal. The next few days were an emotional blur. I spent hours at work, trying to drown out the pain with mundane tasks, but every time I glanced at my phone, I saw missed calls and texts from Jessica. "Please talk to me," one read. "I'm so sorry, I need you." Each one felt like a stab to my heart, and I found myself alternating between anger and deep sadness. After days of silence, I finally decided to meet with Jessica to confront what had happened. I told her to meet me at a coffee shop, a public place where I could guard myself against any emotional outbursts. When I arrived, I was surprised to see her sitting at a table, fiddling with her hands, looking small and vulnerable. It was a stark contrast to the strong-willed woman I had known. "Mark," she said, standing as I approached. Her eyes were puffy from crying and guilt washed over her face. "I'm so glad you came." I took a seat, my heart racing. "I'm not sure how much longer I can keep doing this, Jess. I need answers. I need to understand why you would do this to us." She nodded, tears welling up in her eyes again. "I know I hurt you, and I'm so sorry for what I did. I was feeling lost, and Father David was just there. It was wrong, and I know that now. I should have talked to you instead of running to him." "Running to him?" I echoed, disbelief coloring my tone. "You didn't just run to him, you put your arms around him. You let him into your heart while you were supposed to be committed to me." "I can't just ignore that." "I did." "Mean to hurt you," she replied, her voice wavering. "I swear. I was just confused about everything, the pressure of the vow renewal, the stress of work. I didn't think it would go this far. It was just a moment of weakness." "A moment of weakness?" I laughed bitterly, shaking my head. "That's how you label cheating. I want you to understand the impact of your choices. It's not just about a moment, it's about trust. You shattered what we had." She leaned forward, desperation flooding her features. "I want to fix this. I love you, Mark. I made a mistake, and I'll do anything to make it right. I'll cut ties with him, I promise. Just give me another chance." I studied her face, searching for sincerity, and I saw her fear of losing me. But fear wasn't enough to make me forget the image of them together. The anger mingled with sadness, creating a storm of confusion inside me. "You think I can just forget this? It's not that simple." She took a deep breath, as if gathering her thoughts. "I know it's not simple, but I'm willing to go to counseling with you. We can work through this. I want to fight for us. Aren't you willing to try?" My heart sank further at her words. Part of me still wanted to believe we could salvage our marriage, but another part was screaming at me to protect myself. "I don't know, Jess. I need time to think. This is a lot." She looked defeated, and the tears spilled down her cheeks. "I know I messed up. I regret everything. I don't want to lose you." Her vulnerability touched a part of my heart, but I couldn't shake the betrayal. "You say you want to fight for us, but how can I trust you again? Every time I look at you, I'll only see the woman who stepped outside our marriage for comfort." "I'll prove it to you," she insisted, her voice growing more steady. "Let me show you that I can be the wife you deserve. Just give me one last chance. I swear I'll make it worth it." Was I ready to take that leap? The thought of giving her another chance felt overwhelming. I was at a crossroads. If I chose to fight For our marriage, it meant entering a territory filled with uncertainty and pain. But if I chose to walk away, it meant leaving behind everything I had known for nearly 10 years. I need to think about it, I finally said, my voice heavy. I just can't make any promises right now. She nodded, and I could see the flicker of hope in her eyes dimming. I stood up, feeling the weight of the decision hanging over me. I'll reach out when I'm ready to talk again. As I walked away, I could feel her gaze on my back, the pain of our shattered relationship hanging thick in the air. The emotional toll was exhausting, and I knew I had to decide soon: fight for the woman I loved or walk away from the wreckage she had caused. That night I sat in the quiet of my apartment, the loneliness wrapping around me like a suffocating blanket. I reflected on our relationship, the good times, the laughter, and the love we had shared. But now those memories felt tainted. I couldn't ignore the fact that the woman I thought I knew was gone. In her place was someone I didn't recognize, someone who had broken the sanctity of our love for a moment of escape. As I drifted off to sleep, I knew I had to make a decision soon. Time was running out, and I had to consider not just what I wanted but what I needed to heal from the betrayal that had rocked my world. The following days felt like a foggy haze as I wrestled with my thoughts and emotions. I found myself oscillating between anger and sadness, replaying everything that had happened. I couldn't escape the question that haunted me: could I ever truly forgive Jessica? I began to talk about my situation with some close friends, seeking their perspectives on infidelity and trust. Some urged me to take time for myself, to prioritize my healing before making any decisions. Others were more definitive, telling me to cut her loose, that betrayal like this was unforgivable. I appreciated their advice, but deep down, I knew this was a decision only I could make. One evening, exhausted from the emotional turmoil, I decided to take a walk. As I strolled through the park, I reflected on our years together. I thought about the adventures we had shared, the laughter, the late-night talks. We had built a life together, and now it felt like all of that was teetering on the edge of a cliff. At the park, I saw couples walking hand in hand, and it deepened my sense of loss. I wanted to feel that connection again, but the thought of rebuilding that with Jessica felt like an insurmountable task. I had spent so many years believing in the sanctity of our marriage, and now I was staring at the wreckage. Finally, after a few more days of soul-searching, I decided it was time to meet with Jessica again. I texted her, asking her to meet me at the same coffee shop. As I drove there, my heart raced, a mix of anticipation and dread swirling within me. When I arrived, I saw her sitting at the same table, looking anxious and hopeful. She smiled faintly as I approached, her eyes searching mine for any hint of what I was about to say. I sat down, taking a moment to gather my thoughts. "Mark," she started, her voice barely above a whisper, "I've been thinking about everything. I've been trying to change. I want to show you I can be better." I nodded slowly, still unsure of where to begin. "Jessica, I've thought a lot about our relationship and what happened. I won't pretend that I'm okay with what you did. It hurts deeper than I can express." "I understand," she replied, her eyes brimming with tears. "I know I broke your trust and I can't take that back, but I want to work on it. I want to fight for us because I love you." Her sincerity tugged at something within me, but I was still wary. "Do you really understand what that means? Rebuilding trust doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take time and effort from both of us." "I'm willing to do whatever it takes," she insisted, her voice gaining strength. "I'll cut all ties with Father David. I'll go to counseling alone first if that's what it takes. I want to prove to you that I can change." I took a deep breath, calculating my next words carefully. "I'm not going to pretend that this is easy for me. The image of you with him is still fresh in my mind. I can't just erase it." "I know," she said, her voice cracking. "I can't ask you to do that, but I want to try. I don't want to lose you, Mark. I need you to believe I can be the wife you deserve." Her desperation pierced through my defenses, and I felt a flicker of hope, but I was also aware that hope alone would not be enough. "What you did was a betrayal of everything we built together," I said firmly. "I need to know that you're serious about this. I can't just take your word for it." "I understand," she replied, determination etched on her face. "What if we started with counseling, just the two of us? We can work through our issues with a professional guiding us." I nodded slowly, considering her proposal. I'm willing to try counseling, but I need you to commit to being completely open and honest with me. No more lies, no more hiding things. This is going to be a hard journey. I promise, she said earnestly, tears streaming down her cheeks. I'll be honest. I want to be better. I want to be us again. For the first time in a long time, I felt something shift within me. Perhaps we could take the first steps towards healing, but it would be a long and painful road. If we're going to do this, I need to know that you're all in. No more slipping away emotionally. You need to be present. I promise, she repeated, her voice more confident now. I'll do everything I can. I love you, Mark, and I don't want to lose you over this. I love you too, Jessica, I said, the words coming out in a quiet whisper. But love alone isn't enough right now. We need to earn back that trust. With a tentative agreement in place, we began our journey toward counseling. The first few sessions were uncomfortable and awkward. We discussed our feelings, our history, and the betrayal that had shaken our foundation. Jessica opened up about her insecurities and the pressure she had felt, and I began to understand her struggles better. But it was still painful to listen to her recount her moments of weakness that had led to the affair. As the weeks passed, we slowly started to rebuild some semblance of connection. I could feel the walls I had built around my heart beginning to crack, but I was still cautious, wary of letting myself fall into old patterns. Every step forward felt precarious, like walking on a tightrope. Then came the day when we had a breakthrough. During one of our counseling sessions, the therapist encouraged us to share our hopes and dreams for the future. I felt my chest tighten as I contemplated the future. Could I really envision a life with Jessica again? What did I want? As Jessica began to speak, her voice trembling, I realized how much she had been holding back. I want to create a family with you, Mark, she said. I want to build a life together, one that's full of love and understanding. I want to be the best partner for you and never let you down again. Hearing her express those desires hit me hard. I had wanted those same things, but they felt so distant now, like a dream I could barely grasp. I want that too, Jess, I admitted, my voice cracking. But we need to take baby steps. Rebuilding will take time. I'm willing to wait, she replied, determination shining in her eyes. I'll do whatever it takes to prove to you that I can be that person again. That moment marked a turning point in our journey. As we left the session, I felt a flicker of hope reigniting. It was still a long road ahead, but for the first time, I felt like we were on the same path, working together toward a common goal. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but perhaps we could find a way to heal from this betrayal. Together. As the weeks turned into months, the process of rebuilding our relationship began to take shape. Each counseling session unearthed layers of our past, some painful and some enlightening. I found myself revisiting memories I thought I had made peace with, while also discovering new depths of Jessica's character and the vulnerabilities she had kept hidden. There were tough days when we would come face to face with the rawness of betrayal. I would find myself wrestling with feelings of insecurity, a lingering fear that she might stray again. Each time I caught her distracted, lost in thought, or scrolling through her phone, my heart would race with anxiety. I had to remind myself that every moment was part of the healing process and that I couldn't let past wounds dictate my future. Then came the day that tested all the progress we had made, a moment that would push us to our limits. We were preparing for a community event, one organized by our church. Jessica was involved in planning, and I had agreed to help. I thought it would be a healthy distraction for both of us, a chance to connect outside the therapy room. As we set up the venue, I noticed Jessica was particularly on edge. She kept glancing at her phone, tapping away as if she was waiting for an important message. I tried not to let my insecurities bubble to the surface, reminding myself of the progress we had made. But the more she fidgeted, the more my anxiety grew. Jess, is everything okay? I eventually asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Yeah, I'm fine, she replied, but her tone lacked conviction. I could tell she was fabricating a sense of calm. I took a deep breath, fighting against the urge to spiral into paranoia. You seem distracted. Is it something work-related or, I hesitated, not wanting to push too hard, or is it about Father David? Her expression shifted at the mention of his name, the tension in her shoulders tightening. "No, it's nothing like that," she insisted, but I could see the flicker of discomfort in her eyes. My heart sank. Was this the moment I had feared? "We've worked so hard to get to this place," I said, my voice softer now. "I need you to be honest with me. If there's something going on, I want to know." "Mark, I swear it's not what you're thinking," she exclaimed, her eyes wide with panic. "I'm just stressed about the event. I promise it has nothing to do with Father David. I'm just trying to organize everything." But I had a sinking feeling that she was hiding something. "Okay," I said slowly, unsure of how to proceed. "But please, if you are feeling overwhelmed, just talk to me. I want to help you." She nodded, and for a fleeting moment I thought maybe I had calmed her fears. We continued setting up, but the nagging feeling of unease wouldn't leave me. As the event began, I noticed she was still glued to her phone. I caught snippets of conversations around me, people laughing, enjoying the festivities, but all I could focus on was Jessica's growing discomfort. I wanted to trust her. I really did, but doubts lingered like a storm cloud. Then, as the event progressed, everything changed in an instant. I stepped away for a moment to grab us some drinks, hoping that a small break would ease my mounting anxiety. As I walked back toward the main area, I overheard two church members talking animatedly about something. "Did you hear? Father David is here tonight," one of them said. My heart dropped. I had hoped that he wouldn't show up, and now I felt a surge of dread wash over me. I quickened my pace, scanning the crowd for Jessica. I found her standing in a corner, her posture tense, her eyes darting toward the entrance. Just then I saw him walk through the door. He was smiling, chatting with other church members, blissfully unaware of the chaos he had caused in my life. I felt my heart race. Again, a mix of anger and anxiety bubbling to the surface. I approached Jessica, and before I could even say anything, I saw the way her eyes widened as she spotted him. "Jess, you need to tell me what's going on. I can see you're uncomfortable." I just didn't expect him to be here," she stammered, her voice shaky. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen." "Didn't mean for what to happen?" I pressed, my voice low but firm. "What are you feeling right now?" "Swear it's nothing," she replied, but I could see the fear etched on her face. "I'm just overwhelmed. Seeing him makes me feel anxious. I haven't spoken to him since the affair." We both turned our attention to Father David, who had just spotted us and started heading our way. My heart raced, and I felt anger bubbling beneath the surface. The last thing I wanted was to confront him, but I knew I couldn't let him come near Jessica. "Mark," she began, but I could see the panic in her eyes. "Just trust me, Jess," I replied, taking a step forward. When Father David reached us, he wore that same kind, disarming smile he always had. "Jessica, it's good to see you. I didn't know you'd be here." "No, no," I said, cutting him off. "We need to talk, Father." My voice was steady, but my heart raced. "Mark, it's okay," Jessica said, her voice trembling. "He's just being friendly." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Friendly?" I spat, the anger spilling over. "You're the last person who should be talking about friendliness, David. You violated our trust, and I refuse to let you come near my wife." The tension in the room thickened, all eyes on us. I could see the shock on the faces of those nearby. Jessica looked horrified, her mouth agape as she processed what was happening. "Mark, please," she whispered, panic in her eyes. "I'm done with this," I shouted, feeling the weight of everything I had been holding back. "You're not going to manipulate her anymore. You've done enough damage." Father David's smile faltered, and he straightened, taken aback. "I think you need to calm down. This isn't the time or place." "I do care," I shot back. "If you think you can come here and act like nothing happened, you're mistaken. You've had your chance to take responsibility, and now it's time for you to step away from my wife." Jessica's hands trembled as she reached for my arm. "Mark, please, just let's leave. We can talk about this later." I turned to her, my anger softening just a little. "I'm not just going to stand here while he pretends he's innocent. This isn't over. You need to understand that this is a part of our healing." With that, I took Jessica's hand and led her away from the scene, ignoring the murmurs and stares from those around us. I didn't care what anyone thought. What mattered was protecting my heart and our relationship. Once we were outside, I felt the cool night air wash over me, but my heart was still racing. "What just happened?" Jessica asked, her eyes wide with fear and confusion. I'm not going to let him manipulate you anymore, Jess. I can't be in a situation where he's around. It's too raw, too painful for both of us. I know I'm so sorry, she said, tears brimming in her eyes again. I didn't want this to happen. I didn't think he would come. But he did, I replied, my voice firm but softer now. We can't pretend this doesn't exist. We have to confront it head on. It's the only way to move on. As we stood in the parking lot, the weight of our situation began to settle in. It would be a long road ahead, filled with ups and downs, but I was determined to face the challenges together. Together we could heal, but only if we addressed the wounds openly and honestly, no matter how painful it might be. I turned to look at her, the pain of betrayal still fresh but accompanied by a flicker of hope. We'll get through this, Jess. I just need you to keep being honest with me. No more secrets. I promise, she said, her voice trembling with emotion. I'll do whatever it takes. I love you and I'm ready to fight for us. For the first time in a while, I felt a glimmer of possibility. Maybe, just maybe, we could find a way to heal from this together. But I knew it would take work, work that neither of us could shy away from. The journey ahead would be filled with tough conversations, moments of doubt, and steps forward. But standing in that parking lot, I felt a renewed sense of determination. We had the chance to rebuild our lives, and I was willing to take it, one step at a time. In the weeks following the incident at the community event, Jessica and I found ourselves navigating the tumultuous waters of rebuilding our relationship. Each day felt like a test, a chance to either strengthen our bond or let the shadows of betrayal pull us apart. The counseling sessions became crucial in this process, providing us with the tools we needed to communicate openly and honestly. At our next session, we unpacked the events of the previous weeks. Jessica expressed how overwhelmed she felt by the emotions surrounding Father David's presence, and I shared my frustration at how quickly our progress could be put to the test. We discussed the lingering effects of infidelity and how it impacted trust. The therapist helped us explore our fears and insecurities, highlighting the importance of vulnerability in rebuilding what was broken. I hate feeling like I can't trust you, I admitted during one session, my voice thick with emotion. I want to move forward, but the thought of you with him still haunts me. I understand, Mark, Jessica said, her eyes glistening with tears. I hate that I put us in this position. I'm committed to making it right, to proving to you that I can be better. As we delved deeper into our feelings, I began to see the rawness of her vulnerability. She was scared, just as I was, and it became evident that we were both navigating uncharted territory together. I had to remind myself that she was not the only one dealing with the scars of betrayal. I was too. Slowly, the emotional fog began to lift. We started to engage in more activities together, simple things like cooking dinner or going for evening walks. One Friday night, I surprised Jessica by preparing a homemade dinner, complete with candles and soft music playing in the background. As we sat together, the atmosphere felt different, lighter, almost reminiscent of how we used to be before everything had unraveled. I really appreciate you making this effort, Mark, she said, her eyes sparkling under the dim light. It means more to me than you know. I smiled, but a part of me still held back. I'm trying, Jess. I want to believe we can get back to what we had, but it's going to take time. I know, she replied, reaching across the table to take my hand. And I'm willing to put in the work. I want to be open and honest with you. I don't want any more secrets between us. As we finished dinner, I felt a sense of hope bloom within me. It was small, but it was there, a seed of possibility that perhaps we could move forward. That night, as we cleared the table, I caught her looking at me with a warmth I hadn't seen in a long time. Thank you for giving us another chance, she said softly. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm going to do everything I can to prove that I'm worth it. In the months that followed, we continued to work through our challenges. There were moments of doubt, days when the memory of her infidelity would creep back into my mind, threatening to disrupt the progress we'd made. But in those moments, we turned to each other, communicating openly about our feelings. We learned to ask for what we needed, whether it was reassurance, space, or simply a listening ear. I began to recognize her efforts, and she acknowledged my struggles, creating a safe space for both of us to heal. Eventually, we decided to take another step, a weekend getaway to a cabin in the woods. We both felt the need to reconnect in a setting far removed from the chaos of our daily lives. The moment we arrived, the tranquility of nature enveloped us, and I could feel some of the tension from our past start to ease. Sitting on the porch sipping coffee as the sun rose, I turned to Jessica. "This is nice, just us away from everything." "It is," she agreed, smiling. "I feel like we can breathe out here." As we spent time hiking and exploring, memories began to replace the hurt. I found myself laughing with her, reminiscing about old inside jokes, and sharing little moments of intimacy that had felt lost for so long. One afternoon, as we hiked to a viewpoint overlooking the valley, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. "I'm really glad we made this trip," I said, taking in the view. "It feels like we're starting fresh." She beamed at me and I could see the love in her eyes. "I feel the same way. I'm so grateful for every moment we have together now. It's taught me to appreciate what we have." That evening, as we sat by the fire, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. We talked about our dreams for the future, children, careers, and the life we wanted to build together. It was a conversation I had once thought was impossible after everything that had happened, but now it felt tangible. "I want us to be happy again, Jess," I said, my voice earnest. "I want to create a life together that we can both be proud of." "We will," she promised, her gaze steady. "I'm committed to making sure we get there. You're my everything, and I want to show you that every day." As the flames danced in front of us, I realized that while the past would always be a part of our story, it didn't have to define our future. We had the power to shape the narrative together, one step at a time. With each passing day, I felt the walls around my heart slowly crumbling. I was learning to trust again, to love again, and to believe that our bond could emerge even stronger from this trial. As we finished the last of the s'mores and closed our eyes to the sounds of the night, I felt a sense of peace settle within me. The journey to healing was ongoing, but with Jessica by my side, I was ready to face whatever came next. Together, we would rise from the ashes, and our story would be one of resilience, courage, and love.